So the next story that we're going to talk about is transgendered kids and I believe the rights. Correct, Em?
Yeah. We had watched two different, like, kind of mini documentary shows on YouTube. One of them is called I Am Jazz, and the other one is called Living a Transgender Childhood. They're both boys who have transitioned and are living as girls. Jazz was 3 when she transitioned, and the child in the other one, her female name is Josie, transitioned at 6, and they're both facing puberty and start getting hormone blockers. Um, I just thought it was really interesting because in the one about Jazz, she's very confident with her choice, and she's really um, dead set on hormone blockers and everything. And it just seems like a happy story, and it seems like they're just doing what is logical to do.
Mm.
Whereas in the other one with Josie, they get ready to do the hormone blocker, and then she says, "But maybe I'm going to grow up and be a man." And it just in an instant it's so clear how unsure she really is. And then the next clip that they show her, and she's right back to being sure that she doesn't want to be a man, and things like this. But even just that moment of doubt is it's just interesting and fascinating to me, how once kids hit puberty, parents are feeling like they have to make a decision for their kids' entire lives when, most of the time they're like between 10 and 12, and who really knows much about who they are at that age. It's
Right, right.
fascinating.
And that girl, like she later said that it was because she didn't want her mom to be sad like her dad was when she first, you know,
Mm-hmm.
realized or thought that she was a girl,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense. But then, how do you know if that's really what it was? And it's got to be so hard being the parent of a kid like that, because how do you know if you're doing what's right and like helping them be what they feel they are, or if like maybe somehow you're leading them to it by trying to be supportive.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them, neither one seems like they're doing it intentionally. And I think
Yeah,
a lot of people say, well, the parents are pushing them into it, and I think that pretty much doesn't happen. I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
imagine anyone really doing that unless you're like really crazy. But I certainly think it can happen completely by accident, just by being supportive. You know, um, especially when they transition so young. The jazz was 3, and I I don't know. I have a 3-year-old nephew, and he'll sometimes like say to me, "You're a girl," and it's like he's just learning what a girl and a boy
Mm,
is. So, other than people saying that he is a boy, how in the world would he know what he internally is versus what he physically is? And so to suggest that a 3-year-old would know that they're transgender just makes me uncomfortable, I guess. And I can see how if you let them completely live as the opposite gender at 3, then they just kind of naturally continue that,
hmm.
and then that's just who they believe they are. And it started because they were 3 and they wanted to wear a dress for too long, so people started questioning it. It just, I don't know, it just makes me uncomfortable to make that decision that young.
Well,
Well,
Jazz, I mean, yeah, she was 3 when the doctor seen her playing with a doll and starting to breastfeed it. Um, but how old was Josie when she was quote unquote diagnosed?
She was 6 when she started living.
Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable, because 6-year-olds they do actually have a personality,
yeah.
and they can kind of comprehend the world around them. But the thing about, well, the difference between Josie and Jazz, it's kind of fun that both their names start with a J. Anyway, is that Jazz was 3, so she's not cognitive enough to fully know. So in a sense, it is kind of pushed on her, but she grew up to still want that. There could be any point in time that she could have been like, hey, actually, I do want to be a boy. And it's clear that in the documentaries about Jazz that she does have those conflicts from time to time. But she still feels like that's the right path for her is to become a woman. Where whereas Josie, growing up, before they had found out that she was transgendered or had gender identity issues, she was having a lot of problems in just general. She was acting out a lot. She was screaming all the time. She was sad. But then once they embraced that Josie wanted to be Josie instead of Joey, those things stopped without medication, mind you. So in a case like Josie, it's this child knows exactly what they are and they know exactly what they want to be. And still, Josie did have that conflict later on where she said, well, I might want to be a man. And that's completely normal and natural, I guess, as far as the situation goes. But no, I think it's encouraging at um, age 6 to find out that you want to be the opposite sex and your parents support it. I mean, this story was actually in the news a couple years ago when Josie was actually sent to school in the dress. It made national headlines.
Mm.
Um, but you know I fully support it. You kind of just have to let your child run their course, and it might not make sense to you, but at the same time, if you hold your child back, I think that can create so much more problems than embracing and just being a supportive parent.
You,
Yeah.
you go ahead.
um, I think if I were to have a child in that situation, I mean, obviously you can't force them to dress differently than they feel or to play with toys other than what they feel inclined to play with. I think that's wrong. But I think it would take me years and years um, to not give them an option for everything. I would feel the need to buy boy clothes, even if they, when we go shopping, if they only want dresses, I would still want to have quote unquote boy clothes in their dresser if they wanted to
Hmm.
wake up one morning and put those on. I
Mm.
would still want to buy boy toys even if they don't request them, just so that they know that option is there, you know. But I think it's possible in the jazz video. She goes and speaks with transgender adults, some of them who seem to be like past middle age,
Hmm.
who said to her that they knew from a very young age. And I certainly think it's possible. I just would be afraid of just my 3 year old says that he's a girl, and so he's a girl, and we're just gonna just completely go ahead with that and not ask every step of the way.
Well, I think Garrett kind of raised a good point. Like, when it comes down to it, like if a boy wants to be a girl and not really a girl inside, like it doesn't hurt anybody. Like it could hurt them, but it's not them, it's society around them. And so like I have conflicted feelings about that. Like, the biggest part of me is like screw society, like you don't have to conform to be to other people's expectations or under the threat of them hurting you like emotionally.
Hmm.
But at the same time you have that strong instinct where I don't want my child to be hurt, even if even if it's
By
if
being who they are.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It just I don't know. Like I really I kind of like what you said about like giving them both options, but then like part of me wonders like what does that say to them? Like if you did that, you'd
Yeah.
have to really communicate to them that like I understand and respect your decision, but I just want these options to be here. Like if you just did it and didn't say anything to them, I think that could be harmful.
Right. No, I
Yeah.
think that's probably the best course to go about it because I'm sure that there's a lot more parents out there. There's probably not a high percentage of them that are in this situation, but they just don't know what to do because there's not
Yeah.
much documentation on it. So if you do give your children that choice, you don't have to force it on them, but if they do feel that they're a different sex than what they are, just explain to them, you have some conflicts going on inside and who you are is beautiful. And I'm going to support you in that because I'm your parent. And if you want to be a girl, be a girl. If you want to be a boy, be a boy. But I'll have clothes for you and toys for you on each side to an extent. But whatever you're going to gravitate towards more, that's what I'm going to support. Um, it's I don't know. It's just parents need to just be supportive, and if society thinks that it's wrong for a kid to be a girl if he's a boy, or be a boy if she's a girl. Who cares? They're not the one who's raising the kids. They're not the ones who have to deal with the temper tantrums and have to deal with the screaming at night or the attempted suicide attempts as they get older. They don't have to deal with any of that. So as the parent, as long as you're supportive and just explain it to the kid, it's completely fine and natural. I think the unnatural thing would be to be unsupportive.
Yeah, and I think like that's another good point. Like if you try and like stop them, like trying to protect them from society, what you're going to end up doing is just you hurting them, and probably much more than society would.
Absolutely. You'll stunt them and you'll say, well, your uncle over here doesn't approve of it, so whenever we go to family occasions, you have to dress like a boy. Or, yep, we're going to another family get together. Time to put on your boy pants. It just shows them that even
Some,
in the safest environment that they have, they're still not safe to be themselves.
yeah.
And one of the biggest things for, and even if you look at kids who are homosexual, as they're growing up, if they don't live in a supportive family, it's really tough for them, and they probably won't come out until after they're secure in their own life after they move out, just because they're afraid of what their family's going to say, because they don't feel support. So that's why you have a lot of teens who are actually homosexual who commit suicide because of those reasons. There's not enough support for them at home.
Something else that struck me is I think it's really shallow to paint certainly toys, but even clothing as a specific gender.
Mm-hmm.
When I was little, I was short and chubby, and so I would buy, but when I was like, I don't know, maybe between 5 and 10, I would buy boys like just carpenter style jeans because boys' jeans are shorter and rounder than little girls' jeans are that
Uh-huh.
are skinnier and taller, and they fit me better. And I think because I was a girl, nobody blinked an eye because I would
Mm,
still wear like a girly shirt, and so I was wearing boy pants. But isn't it stupid to? And I wasn't wearing them because I wanted to be a boy or because I mean I was a tomboy, but that didn't have anything to do with it. They just fit me better. And so I think if you have a transgender kid, I was, earlier I was saying like you would buy the other toy, but I think you would just buy whatever toys interest them. And
Absolutely.
whether that is from the boy aisle or the girl aisle is stupid. Just like if I had a little girl who wasn't transgender but who wanted
Hmm.
cars or wanted whatever, you buy them and it doesn't even cross your mind that it's a boy or a girl toy. So I think when you look at transgender, we start seeing gender where there shouldn't
mm,
be any.
yeah.
Right, absolutely. And about the colors on certain things of, oh well, it's pink, so it must be a girl thing, or it's purple, it must be a girl thing. My son's favorite color is actually purple. Not like a dark plum purple. No, just like bright purple. And I remember earlier this school year, he comes home and he said that he doesn't think that he should have purple as his favorite color anymore because it's a girl color. And
Oh
this has
wow.
been his favorite color his entire life. Well, it turns out that an adult in his life had told him that purple is a girl color and that he shouldn't like it.
Wow.
I told him that's such a silly thing to think because you colors aren't boys or girls. They're just colors. So, we kind of talked about difference between boys and girls and the colors of things, and he now loves purple again, and he loves gold and yellow and pink, and he likes the colors that are typically more girlish in society's eyes, but I support him on that, and for that reason, he talks to me about everything, and it's kind of along the same lines. I mean, it's not because he's not transgendered, but um, you know, colors aren't sexualized. They don't have a sex. They're just colors, and it's so pig-headed when people go, "Wow, well, this is a boy color because it's blue," or it makes me feel more masculine. No, that's such a cavemanish way of thinking.
Man, you should tell him purple is Samuel L. Jackson's favorite color. That's why his lightsaber. Like seriously, that's why his lightsaber is purple in Star Wars.
Yep.
No, I was talking to somebody it's probably been a couple of years ago now, but Lego had come out with this line called Lego Friends, which is these like sets of Legos that have little Lego Barbie doll, or I don't think they're actually Barbie, but they're more or less Barbie little dolls
Mm.
in them, and they're kind of the sets are kind of generally more feminine things like I don't know, like playgrounds and swing sets and things instead of more boyish designs. And this person had said, I'm so glad that Lego is finally making girl toys because I liked Legos as a kid and they didn't make anything for me. And I think people think that way now. And even little tykes, like little cozy coupe pedal cars, um, like little tyke swings now come in pink. And a
Yeah.
lot of people who have little girls, if there's an option between blue and pink, they all buy the pink now. But when I was little, there wasn't a pink option. There was like usually like little Tykes' thing is they do red, blue, and yellow combination things, which is kind of rainbow kid colors. And now those are boy options, whereas before it was just a swing or it was just Legos and they were just for everybody. And so I think it's a really negative thing that we've turned into this idea that if you buy a toy for a little girl, it has to be pink. When I was little, I didn't even like pink. I still don't like pink. It just, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that Lego thing before. That's kind of neat, and at the same time, it's kind of sad. But you don't need to make Legos, boy or girl. Legos are Legos. My wife played with Legos, and she tells me all the time about how she made all these big cities and everything. And I'm sure that they were really tiny, and she's small. She just thought they were big. But anyway, with Legos, they're not sexualized. They're not pink. They're just natural colors. I mean, there's a lot of car Legos now, but I mean that's just what's selling. When I was growing up, I could find a lot more buildings to build because that's what was selling the most at the time. But over time, it's cars and things that move more. Those are what are selling now. So I'm kind of glad that Lego thing for girls and boys is kind of faded away a bit. Now it's just basically cars, which is kind of just a stunt on the imagination of children, I think.
Yeah, it's weird with Legos. Like they seem to be much more towards like pre-built. Like they've always done, like like Star Wars, get the build a TIE fighter. But
Yeah.
it seems like they're making more and more pieces that aren't like universal that you can do everything with. Like they're
Well,
for the
the
specific
reason
design.
that is Duplo, not Duplo, Mega Bloks. Imagine Duplo getting back in the game like Lego. Anyway, Mega Bloks. I think they have a contract with Halo and World of Warcraft now, um, and they're getting all these contracts for these big corporation um, pulp pop icons, I should say. And well, Lego is trying to get into that as well. Well, the problem with some of these things that you could put in plastic is you can't just build them and make them look like they are in that setting. Like Harry Potter,
Yeah.
you can't make the willow tree out of Legos the way that it looks in the movie. So if they're going to have the Weeping Willow in the Lego universe, they're going to have to make that pre-made thing.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they're doing it that way. So, all to compete.
Corporatism ruining my childhood
Wow.
toys.